Marco to Commander Palmer. Hello?
Okay, good to go.
Looking good. You're going to blend in the snow quite well.
Can't
Your
hear
bright
me.
orange outfit.
Maybe everyone's ignoring you, DeMarco.
You really don't play that much
Shut
differently
up,
than you do as Master
Get on
Chief
point and take
as
down
the
that comm jammer.
Spartans. I guess they're the same thing as he is, or
I don't know. This mythology is beyond me at this point.
it is confusing.
Do we see each other, or those guys see me, right? Those little dogs on there? Or no.
Yeah, they're coming at you. Or coming at somebody. Oh, nice shot.
Got an achievement for that.
I can get an achievement for that. Are you down there? Okay.
I'm not. Oh.
Oh,
Taking down the jammer cleared up the signal.
flying thing. Okay, I'm in trouble.
If you can hear
A lot of
us,
things on
get
here.
in
Whoa.
as you see.
You're not prepared for this.
Ooh. This guy's eating my lunch. There we go.
Oh, damn. This is
Ow, I got
out.
killed.
You too?
Yeah, it was not good. Definitely don't jump down in that like that.
Yeah, we both died and brought us right back. That's cool.
I think someone's sniping us. Alright, here we go. These guys are tough, alright.
Oh, we got this.
Keep saying that. Okay, where are we going down there?
I had a shield the entire time?
Majestic and Crimson comm signals are back.
How do you use a shield? Is it X?
Good work, teams.
No.
Now then, let the games begin.
That would have been a lot easier.
Marking first targets for each team, Commander.
Must
Show
be
me
the
what you
Citadel
got,
over on,
Spartans.
I don't know, something else. Or Half-Life 2 or something.
Oh, wow. Damn.
What do you wow?
Crimson, looks like the first
dogs come
contact
after
is
me.
Prometheans. These are crawlers, fast and mean, but pretty easy.
You can punch them in the face, though. They go right down.
Yeah, they do, don't they? That's how I handle every dog, really.
Yeah, that's really good lesson for kids. Alright, good. They're going. Okay.
Alright, well, while we deactivate whatever it is we're deactivating, I want to talk about today, this week's news.
Yeah. It was the big news this week was Stephen Colbert getting picked to replace David Letterman, which is I think it's a logical choice. The only other person I've heard discuss that would be an interesting choice also was Louis C.K. But I don't think he'd do it. I think he'd much rather have his own show.
Yeah, I mean,
Ow,
it's
ow.
Louis C.K.'s wheelhouse. I mean, they had a whole season of bet based on him taking over, David Letterman, really. That was the whole season. And, what's that?
Damn, I got killed.
I was actually left with that one. But yeah, the whole season based on idea, and it didn't work out for him in the show. But again, I don't think it's for him. I don't think it ever was for him. So this makes sense. I think it's a great move. I think Colbert is fantastic in his current show. Like you said earlier, I'm not sure what Comedy Central will do without Colbert. Because he actually fit very well in that block.
Yeah, he has his own style that was very different than Jon Stewart's, and it was you could watch both shows. I feel like it was redundant.
Yeah.
And
Exactly right.
and he did a lot more stuff than Jon Stewart. Like, he'd go out, he did the skating stuff he would do, and just a lot of the skits out and about. So I don't know. I think he can do it. I'm sure he'll do a great job. And he's established himself. He demonstrated he can do it. I'm a little concerned about how interesting or how different it's going to be when it's just him and not him doing his character, Stephen Colbert.
Yeah,
I
is
think
he
everyone-
going to drop the character again? Is that what he's talking about doing?
That's what I've heard. Yeah, he's gonna do it as himself rather than as the character of Stephen Colbert.
That's interesting. I'm sure this can work out as well.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll be drawn to watch it or not. Of course, the other question is who's going to replace him on Comedy Central and what they're going to do with that slot.
Yeah, we're
Really?
in swarm, man.
Cleared their tower, Commander.
There's a lot of guys here. Yeah, I'm trying to back out a little bit.
I'm running. Yeah, John Oliver would be the obvious choice, but he's got a show at HBO now, so he doesn't want it.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I gotta say I didn't really love him that much when he was doing it last summer.
Yeah, it wasn't great. It was
Yeah,
alright.
he was fine, but it's like, but not great. Like I don't know if I'd watch a show with him starring in it.
Yeah, I'm concerned about the HBO show too for that same reason.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll head over to the next beacon, I guess. I'm gonna
Yeah, I'm on my way. I'm coming after you.
trip out of this fight.
Oh, damn.
Pretty dangerous being out here apparently.
Apparently so. This is a very. Do we need to get killed?
No, I'm still alive right now, but I've died a few times.
Yeah, me too. This is a tough place.
Yeah, Colbert taking over is great. Letterman's departure is sort of sudden. I'm sure
Yeah, it's really. It does feel sudden.
I'm sure there's reasons for it, but
Bit.
after, I mean, the whole Tonight Show thing and Fallon taking over Tonight Show, I feel weird about Letterman saying, alright, I'm done, I'm out of here. I feel like he lost everything, he just kind of go home and lick his wounds the rest of his life. I feel kind of bad for him, personally.
Well, I don't quite get why. Yeah, I think he could beat Jimmy Fallon if if you want, but maybe he just doesn't care about beating him at this point.
It's hard, Letterman's show is hard to watch now, in my opinion. Like, he's really just phoning it in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I feel like I mean, I used to love that show quite a bit, and it's just, he really is just not, he's just tired. He feels tired.
Huh. Well, maybe that's what it is. Maybe he just knows he's not as into it as he used to be, so he's bugging out for that reason.
But isn't he like 67, 68? I mean,
Yeah, he's in his late 60s. And that's gotta be a grueling schedule, like every day you're going to do this.
yeah. It's
Yeah, that's what makes
controversy around
Colbert a good
himself,
choice,
too.
because they know he can do this. He's done it for years and years.
What's that?
That's what makes Colbert a good choice, is that they know he can do this. He's done this schedule for years and years. But I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how that plays out. I'll watch the show, because I love him so much. But I hope it's as interesting with him playing himself as it was as him playing Colbert. And I kind of hope that Comedy Central will get some other actor to do kind of what he did with the Colbert Report and do some kind of character like that.
Yo, who's the guy who's married to Samantha Bee? Would he be a good choice?
Yeah, Jason Jones.
Jason Jones, did you get a good choice with that?
Yeah, maybe so. We've seen him already, so I don't know if it'd be kind of weird, but yeah. He could do some kind of show for sure.
Yeah. What are we doing now, by the way? Objective up top there, okay. I'm going
Yeah.
with this thing.
Up there? Yeah, okay. Wait, how do you pick up there? It's the middle thing, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really so
Guys, go
many
behind you.
games, man. There's nothing going on really once.
Yeah, that's true. It's really gotten quiet.
People are talking about the Titanfall story, like that's news.
Well, Titanfall for 360 is coming out soon too, right? So that's something.
Really?
Well, that's something people are talking about anyway.
I thought it was like an Xbox One exclusive. I didn't know it was coming out for 360 as well.
No, I think it's coming for 360. They have a graphic comparison on IGN.
Sure.
I don't know if you can play with Xbox One people or not. Surely you can. Oh, who knows?
Who knows? Who cares?
Yeah, it's a slow time right now.
That's
I'm
what
not sure
we're
what we're waiting for. What comes out next month? Isn't something big coming out pretty soon?
Next month's May, right?
Yeah, some in May.
Yeah, there's Watch Dogs.
Oh, Watch Dogs is what I'm thinking of. Yeah, Watch Dogs will be a thing. I'm not too optimistic about it, but...
Next gen
the
seller
big
right there, man. That's gonna get me on the PS4.
You think that will?
I do. I'm optimistic. You're pessimistic. I'm optimistic on that one.
Yeah, this is one of the few times where I think I'm pessimistic and you're the optimist. But,
I think we need to run.
yeah, I'm running away.
It's the lesson of the game.
Yes, run like a bastard.
Best move is not to fight.
Or not Master Chief is what I'm learning.
That's where that grenade thing. All right.
Damn it.
Almost out of here.
You keep running. I distracted him for you. Alright, let's run too.
Crimson, Dalton in transport.
A lot of people coming. We brought him over here.
Yeah, and to see all these guys, this is how I could not survive back over there. Whoa. Dang.
Clear. He backs up, man. Seriously?
That's a lot of dogs.
It's not like Michael Bay to take these guys out.
And a lot of shield guys, alright.
Too much. It's just you, man. You got this.
Alright, were you down? Oh,
I was. I'm back now. Really, they bring me back in despite the fact we're swarmed by guys.
I appreciate the fact that this game doesn't hold, as tight to that. You gotta run away and hide for 10 minutes for bring it back rule that lives in Halo.
Admit you're a woman.
Yeah, exactly. God damn.
I can arrange that, Commander.
me some of the guns
you
earlier.
mentioned a topic to me earlier I kind of liked, but the idea... What, is a rocket launcher here? Oh, hell yeah. That's, of course, what I need right now.
Yeah, it's gonna, the things that charge right up to you, that's exactly what you want. Close combat situation. I'm trying to find a gun somewhere.
You're dropping rocket launchers here for me. My little personal playground. What the hell? There's a billion guys here. Hey, you get a rocket. Let me get something else.
Yeah, what the incineration cannon is, but I'll take a crack at it.
But you mentioned a topic earlier I wanted to address too. You said your frustration about the repeated insistence that ET is the worst game of all time.
Oh yeah, this is something that we'll talk about on the website too. But it's like, hey, there's a new documentary, I guess, being kickstarted or it has been funded about digging up the old ET games that were historically apparently buried in New Mexico because no one bought them because the game was so terrible, and then it contributed to this lore that ET for the Atari is the worst game of all time. And ET for the Atari is a bad game, you know, it doesn't make a lot of sense. You're ET and you fall down pits trying to find pieces to repair your phone to call your spaceship while you're being chased around by FBI agents and scientists and finding the things is a pain. Because to find the piece of the ship, you have to fall down a pit and then float back out slowly and painstakingly before you ultimately die. It's an annoying game, but it's not the worst game at all. Like, by far, it's not the worst game for the Atari. It's not the worst game for game systems. It's not the worst game. You know, it's even the worst game that came out that year. It's not the worst game at all. It's a game. It has a goal. It's very playable. You know what you're supposed to do. It's kind of irritating at parts, but its crimes are no worse than so many other games at the same time. And the chief example is the one you mentioned, Raiders of the Lost Ark, like for the Atari. That is a nightmarishly bad game.
Yeah.
It makes no sense at all. There's no way to know what you're supposed to do.
Yep.
The game has nothing to do with the movie other than a couple of tangential things. But the characters don't look like anything. Indiana Jones looks like a kind of a weird cowboy. He's all yellow and he kind of walks around like the guy who hung around with Curious George. It's a strange game. I don't know how people beat that game other than just trial and error. But
did you ever beat it? I know we played it a ton. I don't think we ever beat it, right?
No, I had to watch it beaten on YouTube. Track and Field that came out for the Atari was so much worse. For the sporting events, you just have to just whack the hell out of the controller to get for the marathon. You just had to hit the button for like 20 minutes just to hit the button over and over again.
Yeah.
Your character runs slowly. It was such a nightmarish game. For other systems, when you mentioned Superman 64 is such a worse game than that. Aquaman was such a worse game than that. Those games were, they had glitches and didn't function very well, and they were annoying and had lousy goals and everything else. E.T. is fine for what it is. It's an attempt to make a licensed game, even for a license. It's not the worst licensed game, and it's definitely not even the worst game for Atari. It's bad, but it's not that bad.
Yeah, to just be renowned as this, just be instead of like a scientific fact now, everybody just understands this is the worst game of all time. I agree, it's not. There are much more unpleasant games to play.
Oh man, the Sorcerer's Apprentice for the Atari, or
oh gosh, yeah, or Deadly Towers for Nintendo, or
which one?
Deadly Towers.
Oh yeah, Deadly Towers for Nintendo. Yeah, Deadly Towers, that is historically thought of as one of the worst games ever, and that definitely is. Or Double Dragon for Nintendo. Well, Double Dragon's okay. Double Dragon's okay. Because it didn't have didn't have the ability to play cooperatively. I kept
hearing that Bebe's Kids for Nintendo was like the worst licensed game of all time. I've never tried it, but I know that from some article I read a long time ago about licensed games.
Yeah, and remember Cool World for Nintendo?
Yeah, I do. That was really bad.
It was really bad. You beat that game too, but it was really bad. Licensed games for Nintendo are really bad. There's been bad Batman games. The Nintendo one was okay, I think.
Well, it's the Ninja Turtles game, the original one. Oh
god, Ninja Turtles,
by
yeah.
Every game Ultra made was just ridiculously hard. Konami's offshoot for hard games. There are many more unpleasant games or worse games to play than E.T. E.T. is playable, it's beatable in one playthrough, and it makes some sense, even though it is weird to play, and it's defined by the limitations of the Atari, basically.
Well, it's just a bad adaptation to the license. You know, people treat it as if it creates some kind of weird sin in the way it's designed. But yeah, of course, all games do that. If you make a game out of a movie, you have just weird parts of the movie, or you do events that are not in the movie. I mean, Back to the Future was such a worse game
Oh
than
my
that for
gosh,
that
yeah.
reason.
I just beat that recently. That was horrible.
Yeah, it's horrible. It has nothing to do with the movie. I mean, you're on a skateboard the entire game, and then you go through those weird sequences of playing the guitar or something like that.
Well, you're doing like a what's that game where you're root beer tapper? You have sequences you're throwing food at people to keep them away from the cafe, and like, it's just really awkward sequences over and over again.
What do you say?
Over and over. You do it like 4 times. You just repeat the same sequence 4 times before you beat the game.
Oh, I thought it was different sequences every time. It's just that over and over again?
No, you run, and then you go and do root beer tapper, and then you run, you do root beer tapper. It's that over and over again, and then you end up at the dance. You gotta play guitar, and the way you play guitar is you have to block notes that are flying at the guitar, and then you're driving the car, and that's the end of the game.
Wow. Yeah, that's...
It's surreal. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And,
well, I remember Who Framed Roger Rabbit by the same company, I think, right? That had nothing to do with anything. It was the entire game trying to find the will and walking around and, being chased by weasels.
Yeah,
it's like it's wandering around the desert of California trying to find pieces of a will in caves. It was just, of course, the worst boss fight ever. I'm just frustrated by the premise. I'm so sick of everyone saying that this is the worst game of all time when there are so many really bad games. E.T. It's a fine game. It's not obviously it's not like great or a good use of the license or anything, but compared to other things out of the time, it's not nearly as bad as those things.
We should talk about them in the site. By the way, I think I found the cube that unlocks Hellraiser in the game. I found some floating globe up here.
Oh yeah, that's weird looking.
Yeah. Pinhead is coming, so just be warned.
Yeah, alright, well, that'd be a nice twist in this level. Why is it weirdly overgrown here, too? It's kind of strange.
Yeah, it reminds me of the last level in Uncharted 2 with that guy you fight.
Oh, yeah. That was a really bad boss fight for that game.
For such a good game, you're right.
Yeah, it's like one of the most perfect games. It's a game you can play through over and over again. It's a very great game. It just has a terrible boss fight at the end.
Really bad boss fight.
I mean, given how good the game is, right? It's in proportion to that. And bad games are going to have bad boss fights, but a good game, a great game like that, having a weak boss fight is really kind of almost a tragedy.
In light of Colbert's thing, I think it'd be appropriate to talk about what are the kind of the funniest games we know of in recent memory, without doing a lot of research or really thinking this one through completely.
Yeah.
There's probably better ways to do this, but kind of off the top of our head, I just want to kind of talk about funniest games that in recent memory we can come up with, just real quickly.
Yeah, well, I want to pitch right away, Stick It to the Man. If you haven't played that yet, that is really funny. It's an easy game to play, and it's a fun little puzzle platforming game, but I can't recommend it enough, especially if you ever catch it on sale. It's really, really funny. Just throughout, it's a really good tight experience too. It's a good story, and it's really creative. So if you get a chance to play it, but Stick It to the Man, hilariously funny.
Yeah, it was on my. I knew you were going to say that one. It was on my list for ones you were going to say.
Is that right?
For sure. Yeah, I knew it was early in your list. You're a huge fan of that. I need to give it a shot. I need to try that game. We rated it pretty highly on the site, so I think it's worth checking that one out pretty soon for me.
Definitely.
Top of my list, and not in any particular order, except the last one I have is probably my favorite game recently. The first one I want to mention was, Tim Schafer, almost everything he does is hilarious. My favorite one he's done is Psychonauts. Still.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
I think it's the worlds you go into, like the crazy guy who has the paranoia of the government chasing him around all the time to see his vision of the world. Stuff like that, it's just really well done throughout. The World War II guy, or maybe Vietnam guy at the beginning, had this sort of war zone kind of a mentality, and it was funny, it was creative, the dialogue was great, it was Tim Schafer at his best, and it was an awkward game towards the end with the platforming, but the sense of humor was always intact the entire time, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. This is a fantastic game. It is really funny. It is really creative. I was thinking about Broken Sword, but Psychonauts is a better example. It's funnier, and it was just a better idea, too. It's a really good idea for a game.
Yeah, the guy's got a ton. I mean, you got Day of the Tentacle and Maniac Mansion, of course, and he's just got an arsenal of hilarious games. But Psychonauts is my favorite that he's done.
Yeah, you're talking me into thinking about picking up Stacked and playing through that. I was thinking about that the other day too. People say it's funny and just same kind of sense of humor and stuff. But I certainly would agree that Psychonauts was funny and just really good. It was just a really good game.
Yeah.
Just a little tough at the end. You're right.
All right, your turn.
Well, okay. I was gonna say something else, but let me say Portal 2 first, because Portal 2 was really funny. It was funny with Stephen Merchant playing the role of Wheatley. Is that right?
Yeah, Wheatley.
Yeah, his one-liners all the way through. Then, of course, when you're paired up later with GLaDOS and having to with her in a potato clock, and then and carrying her through the base. I mean, it's dark, and then there's some horrible things you learn about GLaDOS' history that in there too. But her jokes, and I never stopped laughing at J.K. Simmons' joke about where it's like. Like we're no longer going to be doing any of the cloning with the Mantis people. However, if you're interested in fighting a whole army of Mantis men, I forget the joke is.
That was great.
I'm not doing it justice, but it was really, really funny.
That was hilarious.
His dead-on delivery is just the goddamn, that guy blew me to hell.
I saw that on my side.
God, I didn't know he had that kind of weapon. His deadpan delivery in the game is really good. But the whole game is really, really funny. It has one of the best endings. Well, not the best, but a really good, satisfying ending battle too.
It does, yeah. It worked out. It worked out in the end. It does a really good job with that. And you're right. The 16 years later, they cast it very well throughout. For a game where you don't really interact with many people, it's done incredibly well.
Yeah, that's true. You really only act with 3, and they're all done really, really well. And the acting is really top notch, and it's fun because having those characters with you really humanizes your character a little bit. Who's got the same Morgan Freeman problem that she just never speaks. What's her name in that game?
I don't remember. Morgan Freeman talks all the time. What are you talking about?
Oh, sorry, Gordon Freeman. Sorry.
Okay, yeah. Morgan Freeman's always the guy who explains the narrative in every movie.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah. No, what is her name? She has a name. I forget what it is. I want to say Dawn or something, but that's not right. It's something kind of Portal related. What gun does he have? The spread gun? What the hell is that thing? So yeah, I'll throw in Portal 2, but I have a couple others to mention.
Yeah, me too. Let me go next. Next on my list would be the Saints Row series.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
The last one being the top one. I think it's constantly hilarious throughout. It opens very strong with the what is it? It's not Apocalypse Now. What is the movie they make fun of?
Independence Day?
No, I don't want to hold your hand. Aerosmith song, where you ride the rocket.
Armageddon.
Armageddon, yeah, that reference is great. The game references Metal Gear Solid are fantastic. My favorite one was the Mass Effect one too. My favorite one was the They Live reference towards the end, just out of nowhere. It's just so rewarding for geeks. Just to have that included in there. Amazing guns, guys. But yeah, it's always funny, and the fourth one does not disappoint. Despite repurposing the same map in the previous game and being kind of lazy with that, sense of humor makes it worth kind of the purchase price.
Yeah, the jokes are smart jokes. They have some crass jokes too. Some kind of, especially in the early games, like when you go around the city just spraying sewage everywhere and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they have smart jokes. They know the actors. They make some really clever jokes with that. So, damn man, I guess they just trapped me in there and beat me to crap. Yeah, good choice. Yeah, I like the game a lot, and it was hilariously funny. I think the funniest part for me is always the insurance scandal.
Insurance scams,
just run around bouncing yourself off cars to get insurance money. Those are some great levels, and they're hilariously funny. Let me see. I had another choice for now. What was I going to say? Oh, well. Yeah, okay. It's kind of out of the blue. Lego Batman 2 is really hilarious.
Wow.
What do you say?
I'm surprised you say that.
Yeah, no, like all the Lego games are pretty clever, but that one has a lot of great jokes about the characters and about their powers and stuff like that. I think the Lego idea is getting a little bit stale, especially as they've gone like to Lord of the Rings stuff over and over again. Those games get old, but the ones where they make up their own plots, the ones that tell their own story, those can be really funny. And I think like the Batman one, Lego Batman 2, was hilariously funny with a lot of the jokes that they made. One of my favorite parts in the game is a part where you're Batman and Superman are facing off with Lex Luthor and the Joker, and Luthor has them trapped, and Joker is kind of reluctant for him to kill Batman because he says, who's he going to fight next? And Luthor goes off about how he's sure Robin will just take over for Batman, so it'll be like nothing's changed. And it's really funny the way he delivers it. And they have all the actors from the show delivering the lines. So like, I forget the actor's name. Who's the guy who played the Kurgan? The guy I'm talking about from the Carnival show?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, anyway, so all the actors from the cartoons and whatnot playing the characters. It's a really, really funny game. Batman's character and how he hates Superman, but has to rely on Superman and get rescued by him a number of times, and the other superheroes too are really good. So it's a really funny game, surprisingly funny for a Lego game, which I feel like sometimes they're just kind of phoning it in. But with that one, I think they're really delivering.
That franchise is doing really well for itself. The movie is huge this year. I've not seen it yet. People just rave about it.
It's good. It's surprisingly good. Yeah, it's a better movie than you think it's going to be.
Yeah, those guys are doing something right. And they figured out how to that system, and they're just solidifying it now. So
yeah, it's really weird because Lego is not like a new brand. They've been around for generations, but suddenly they figured out how to tap into video games, and then from that, from the video games into movies, and then back into video games with their movies. So yeah, it's strange how they're expanding out these other franchises so well.
All right, next one I had on my list was the Rayman series. I think it's probably because the later levels, just the references, the songs they use are great. Like in the latest game, they have "Eye of the Tiger," like done by a mariachi band out of nowhere, and this kind of really intense level. They really have a good time with just level design, and it's hard enough to just smile as you're playing the later level. Like it's really fun to play, and it's like the best game I've seen where the reward, the ending you want is just more levels. Like you don't want to see an ending that makes any sense. You want to play more of the game. It's that good. It's that fun to play. And I think the humor is strong throughout, but towards the end it gets hilarious with the songs and things that they do towards the end of the game.
All right, that's a good argument. Those games are tough. I like the early levels a lot, and they're so beautiful. The graphics are just fantastic.
They are, but they're tough. But and you mentioned this before earlier to me. The conversation we had. They're tough, but they're not impossible because you respawn immediately. There's no loading time. You just pick it back up again. You go. There's no penalty for death. It isn't like it's really tough, but it's like it's a Dragon Slayer type thing, trial and error and memorization ultimately towards the end. But it's not frustrating. You're not watching cutscenes. You're not doing that kind of stuff in the end. You're immediately back into gameplay, trying the second time. It's pretty fair despite being so tough.
Yeah, that's a good point to make about it. I think that the lack of reload time is hugely important these days. I wrote about that, about Hotline Miami having that, and Secret of the Man, and other games too. They throw you right back in where you don't have to wait an agonizing amount of time to come back in. That makes the game a lot more playable.
And that should be what the new consoles are based on. I'm surprised they really haven't stressed that point yet. The new consoles should be about solid state ramp and solid state memory and immediate load times and that kind of stuff. And it really is not part of the conversation yet for new consoles. But if they remove load times, that'd be significant.
Well, there may be an issue with that too. I mean, if you make it too easy, so you're not afraid to die, then you kind of lose something in the game too, right? Like if we're playing this, then we play that, where we just kind of throw ourselves at the problem until we win.
I agree with that.
There's got to be a consequence to death, but at the same time, you don't have to wait so long to come back into the game. It's just irritating.
I think we can deal with that problem. If that came up, we'll deal with that problem just fine.
I don't know how Hotline Miami does it so well. You just pop right back in. Everything's back to where it was a second ago. No, sorry, everything starts back over. But it's just like you blink and you're right back.
That's great. I need to try that.
Yeah, you should try that for sure. It's really good.
All right, your turn.
Sam Max. The first one. The other ones are fine. They're not. I don't think they're as funny as Sam Max Hit the Road though.
Yep, that's a great one.
It's hilariously funny. It's really good all the way through. I'm just trying to think of a certain joke or anything that really set me off. I couldn't think of anything that offhand that I found especially funny. But the entire way through, I guess the John Muir stuff is really fun when they go off for like 10 minutes on who John Muir was and his history. The fight scene where you and Sam Max fight the guy at the circus, and I guess the puzzles you solve are really funny too. A lot of the puzzle games are pretty fun. The Maniac Mansion games are funny, especially the second one. But I think Sam Max does that heap better, at least in the first game they had.
Yeah, and over like Monkey Island too, I guess you'd say, right?
Yeah, Monkey Island is pretty funny. I think Monkey Island 2 and some of these games are like just great experiences, like Maniac Mansion 1 and 2 and Monkey Island 2. Those are definitely adventure game experiences you should have. But terms of funny, I think that I would still give it to Sam and Max, at least their first game.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I know you're going to mention Conquer, so let's go and get that one out of the way.
Yeah, I was going to talk about Conquer. Conquer's kind of an easy target, but yeah, it's a hilariously funny game. I don't understand why there hasn't been another one.
Yeah, I think it's more of just a development issue. It's rare, right? You did it, so.
Oh right, yeah, and they just kind of devolved once they got bought out, right?
Yeah, the Stanford brothers didn't know what to do, and companies went way just wildly off topic or off track quickly. I don't know what happened to these guys.
Just the risk of buying a company, I think.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, thanks for buying us. We're not gonna make anything else.
We're done. We're out of your seat.
But yeah, Conquer was, same thing as what else did Rare make that was so good? GoldenEye, I guess.
GoldenEye was big at the time. Killer Instinct was huge at the time, and those guys were on a tear for a while there. But they lost everything after that. I mean, but Banjo-Kazooie is okay. That's kind of it.
Yeah.
Jet Force Gemini was not great. Blast Core is not great in my opinion. I made a lot of games.
You've talked about Jet Force Gemini before as being one of those games you think is kind of underrated.
Yeah, I don't know much about it. I played it for a while, and it's got a co-op mode you unlock if you create a turret that floats around with you. It's the same player can control the turret. But nobody I know really ever played through that game.
It came out at the same time, I think, as GoldenEye did or something else did. They just took up all the oxygen in the room.
Yeah, I think it's probably right.
But getting back to Conquer, I mean, Conquer is hilarious. Conquer's still a game on the 64 I'd play through again if ever one of those windows where I was looking for something to play. It's hilarious all the way through. It gets a little tough when you get to the World War II simulation, but man, think of all the stuff you do in that game. You're a vampire for a while, and you shoot zombies. You have that whole poo adventure where you go under, you have to that entire stink bug world. You have just 1,000 different the World War II thing that goes on forever, and you end up in the alien battle in the space. It's and the Matrix simulation. The whole thing is just forever and ever.
Yeah, no, it's incredibly well done.
Yeah, incredibly well done, and just a really, really long game.
Yeah.
But no, the other one I was going to mention that I thought you would have mentioned by now is Borderlands 2. I thought that was really funny, at least with some parts, like the tragic claptrap birthday party.
Yeah.
Some of the dialogue from Handsome Jack. I think the game has a good sense of humor running throughout it. So I thought that was a really funny game.
Now, you missed the one for me. What else did you have?
No, I thought you'd say Borderlands 2.
I have one more. I'm curious you're going to say it.
Well, okay, let me see what else I was thinking. I was thinking a little bit of Katamari Damacy. Not really.
No.
Not Monaco, right?
No. You missed it.
Not Left 4 Dead.
Nope. Last one I had was Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon.
Oh, Blood Dragon. Yes. That is a really good one. It's hilarious. Does the 80s so well. The ending scene is so fantastic. Yeah, that is probably one of the funniest games I've played ever. That is a great choice. Yeah. I can't believe I forgot that one. It's really good. Yeah,
it came out of nowhere. The DLC thought would just be kind of a total joke. It's a full game. It's worth playing. It's a full game. It's 8 to 10 hours long. But it's got a great engine, and it's chock full of just total references for 80s stuff, and it's done fantastically well throughout the entire experience. And you're right, the ending sequence is just it's hard just not to be grinning the entire time you play it. It's hilarious.
Oh yeah. I mean, not the ending either, but like the little the cutscene they have before you go into your final battle, where you train up and everything. That is so funny.
Yep.
And you can play it at your own pace. You can take your time with that whole whole game and make it longer and just kind of prowl around fighting dragons. It's a really good game. And if someone hasn't played it, I would absolutely insist that they play it. It's totally worth the money.
Yep. That was it. That was my the top list of funny games in recent memory I could think of.
Great choices.